Hello everyone and welcome to Ecosystem. Returns, excess stock and unsold goods have long been part of everyday operations in online retail. Especially in the case of textiles, clothing and footwear, products regularly arise that can no longer be sold through regular channels. For example, due to seasonal changes, damaged packaging, returns or economically unviable reprocessing. Until now, disposing of such goods was an obvious option for many companies. From July 19th, 2026, in other words, very soon, this practice will be significantly restricted in the EU. With the Ecodesign for Sustainable Products Regulation, or ESPR for short, the EU is introducing a ban on the destruction of certain unsold consumer products. The legal basis is Regulation 2024/1781. Initially, this will mainly affect textiles, clothing and footwear. For large companies, this means they will need to provide more detailed evidence of and better organize what happens to unsold stock and returns in the future. The regulation therefore changes not only sustainability requirements, but also processes, costs and responsibilities in e-commerce. Our partners at 8 Returns have taken a closer look at this topic in a guest article in our blog. 8 Returns is a Berlin-based software company specializing in returns management for e-commerce. Its platform helps online retailers automate returns, guide customers through the returns process and reduce revenue losses at the same time. So now let's take a look at what they looked into. Let's get started. First things first, who counts as a large company? The definition follows the EU Accounting Directive 2013/34. A company qualifies as large if it exceeds at least two of the following three thresholds: more than 250 employees, more than 50 million euros in annual revenue, more than 25 million euros in total assets. Small and medium-sized enterprises are initially exempt from the ban on destruction of unsold textiles and clothing. And what does destruction ban actually mean? Large companies will no longer be permitted to destroy certain unsold consumer products. The regulation explicitly refers to unsold products. For the affected product categories, disposal will no longer be an option. Why this matters for e-commerce returns? In e-commerce, unsold inventory doesn't only come from overproduction or seasonal surplus. Returns also generate stock that can't always be resold through regular channels. The regulation targets unsold products. In practice, this can include excess inventory from returns or goods that are no longer in sellable condition. With destruction off the table, companies need to organize alternatives, whether that's resale, repair or donation. This goes beyond sustainability strategy. It directly affects operational processes and cost structures. Let's take a look at France, whose regulation is the benchmark. France became the first country in the world to fully implement a ban on the destruction of unsold and returned non-food products. The law has been fully in effect since the end of 2023 and covers textiles, electronics, cosmetics and many other product categories. Instead of disposing of returns and excess inventory, companies must donate, resell or recycle them. The trigger was widespread reporting on the mass destruction of as-new returned goods by major platforms. Estimates suggest that products worth of 650 to 730 million euros were destroyed annually in France, often because reprocessing was more expensive than disposal. The French law served as a model for the EU Ecodesign for Sustainable Products Regulation, which will prohibit the destruction of unsold textiles by large companies starting July 2026. Together with the withdrawal button, a clear regulatory trend is emerging. Consumer protection and sustainability in European e-commerce are being systematically connected, where this fits among other 2026 regulations. While the electronic withdrawal button, also effective 2026, governs how returns are initiated, the ban on destruction of unsold textiles addresses what happens to the goods afterward. By the way, we've dedicated an entire video to the topic of withdrawal buttons. Both regulations operate at different stages of the post-purchase process. The withdrawal button standardizes the entry point for many returns. The ban on destruction of unsold textiles sets limits on how certain unsold products can be handled. Alright, let's see the conclusion. The ESPR regulation introduces new rules for dealing with unsold products. Large e-commerce businesses selling clothing, footwear or textiles must ensure these products are no longer destroyed from July 2026 onward. For companies with high return volumes, this raises a practical question. What happens to non-resellable goods when disposal is no longer an option? The regulation isn't just about sustainability, it directly affects the economic logic behind returns and remaining stock. Thank you very much and warm regards to our partners at 8 Returns in Berlin. See you next time.